Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, the host of Talk is Jericho, the popular podcast on Podcast One, the lead singer of Fozzy, as well as the recent signee with All Elite Wrestling, Chris Jericho. Good to see you,
I should
sir.
say it's Westwood One now. I switched.
Really?
Yeah, so we better say Westwood One or I'll get in trouble.
Talk is Jericho podcast on Westwood
Nailed it.
One.
There we go.
My
yes,
bad.
Rich,
I should have
lots of
read
stuff
straight
going
off
on.
the card. I should have just been
That's
a
what happens
total...
when you go to Wikipedia.
No, see, I should do sometimes. Do I do Ron Burgundy or do I not? Do I just go
Right.
straight with what I read?
So that put a lot of pressure on a sportscaster such as
bit.
yourself
Little
when
bit.
that happened.
But you played Band on the Run on your Instagram.
I did on my
feed.
Instagram story. We were saying earlier, I figured out how to play music on the story. And when you guys had your story, I was going to be in the show today. I re-storied it and added music because whenever I see your logo, it reminds me of Band on the Run.
Fantastic.
Like The Fugitive.
I'm like
The Fugitive sportscaster.
You know, I get it whenever people look at the logo. I get a lot of Mad Men. You even had John Hamm, Mr. Draper himself, came on the show and said it looks very Mad Men-ish. Instead of me falling off a building, I'm running straight ahead.
Running straight ahead. It's also, if you could put a prop plane behind you, it's
North by Northwest.
North by Northwest, Cary Grant.
I will take the Cary
See?
Grant.
That's some
analogy.
good comparisons. You got McCartney, John Hamm, and Cary Grant on the first 2 minutes of the show.
Three very handsome men.
Might as well just cut it off right now.
We should just
Quit while you're ahead. Thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Mic drop, everybody. Mic drop. So, not many people can say they're the pride of Manhasset, New York, and also Winnipeg.
Yes.
But you are both, in a way.
I guess, yeah.
You're born in Manhasset, right?
I was born in Manhasset because my dad used to play for the Rangers,
The New
as we've
York
discussed
Rangers,
before.
we have indeed.
So they used to have their training camp. The Rangers had their training camp in Manhasset, which is Long Island.
Right.
But I guess they wanted to stay out of the city. So that's where I was born, but then moved to Winnipeg because my dad was from Winnipeg. Funny story, in about the mid-2000s when Vince McMahon decided that you couldn't be from Canada and be a babyface in the WWE for whatever reason. No, because no one would cheer a Canadian was his mindset.
Is it? Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. So I was told that you can't be from Winnipeg anymore. You're from Tampa. And I'm like, well, I only live in Tampa. I'm not from there. Where were you born? Manhasset. It sounds too country. You're now from Manhattan, New York. So for a period of time.
So hold on a second, because we've heard many stories,
Yes.
obviously here in Los Angeles, where
Right.
people, your name is no longer that, your name is this. 'cause
Right.
That's the way we're. So Vince McMahon sits you down and says a very Team America thing to blame Canada.
Yeah, right. Blame Canada. South Park.
He says you're not from Canada, you're from.
Well, there was a whole bunch of us that were,
you're not
that
from
were Canadian.
Canada, right,
Well,
okay.
yeah, I'm Canadian. Though. I grew
Okay.
up in Canada, grew
Sure.
up in Winnipeg.
Who was Canadian? Who else was
Well,
Canadian?
Edge, Christian, Val Venus, a bunch of other guys at the time. And he just decided one time that you cannot be a babyface, a good guy, and be from Canada. For people to really cheer you, you have to be from the United States. Probably lasted for about 6 months, but that's sometimes Vince would go through these type of things where there's no DDTs anymore. Damn it, too many DDTs. And then 6 months later, why aren't there any DDTs on the damn show? So that was when I was from Manhattan,
Okay.
New York.
Well, and then you just open your mouth. You still sound,
Oh, it's
Canadian.
super Canadian, because that's where I grew up, man. And this is even like curtailing the accent, because when you go back there, you get super Canadian. Hey, Rich, what's going on, man? How's it going, eh? Got some water in the cup, having a great time here on your show, man. That's like super Canadian.
Is that really?
Yeah.
See, it's funny for me that when I do go back to New York, it does slip out a little bit myself.
When you're around the
You know.
atmosphere, it does, right?
But at doing my job the way, I used to, when I started out my career, I'd say the word tournament. The NCAA tournament. So I literally, in my first TV job, I had to write the word tournament down, TURN-ament.
Tournament.
But you cut me off in traffic, the New Yorker will come out.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
But that's the way, when you grew up with that, that's your speech patterns. So
Right.
I get that.
So now, since we last spoke here on this show, Chris Jericho, you let it be known to me before you came out here that you have picked up fandom of the National Football League for the very first time, correct? In a way.
I have. My wife is a huge NFL fan, so she was always into the Vikings, in the NFL, and I just couldn't be bothered. And finally, I was like, I'll give this a try.
Okay.
I'll give this football thing a try. All you wacky Americans and your Sunday Night Football and all this other stuff. Your Super Bowl. And it's actually really got into it. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Secret has been revealed. So, Vikings fan, not happy with Kirk Cousins and his $84 million contract. Couldn't even get him in the playoffs. Sound like a real football fan, doesn't it?
Hot takes. I love it.
It's
What
great.
to say? You don't have to be a fan for very long to start laying into people.
To just hating everything. And that's the thing about fans, like wrestling fans, Kiss fans, Star Wars fans, football fans are all the same. They love their team, their band, their wrestler, but they hate everything that they do. And that's kind of what it is when you're an NFL fan.
Well, it also sounds like a New England sports fan too, where you're not happy unless you're thoroughly unhappy.
Right. It's like the people are bagging on Tom Brady for winning, 6 Super Bowls.
Yes.
And as if like he's like the scourge of the earth. Like he has now become Attila the Hun because he's, and that used to be like that with Gretzky in the 80s too, though, growing up in Winnipeg. Everybody hated Gretzky.
What?
Because he was so good and he used to murder the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
I think if you look at Gretzky's point totals, the team that he scored the most points against was the Winnipeg Jets. So we hated him because he was so great. But that's part of sports. Like, you hate him, but if you ever got traded to the Jets, there'd be a ticker tape parade. You'd be running down the street with 99 tattooed on your ass.
I was that way about Dan Marino as a New York Jet fan, and had the Jets ever acquired Dan Marino.
Instantly
Huge. Love him.
Huge hero, right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just that's sports, I think,
Sure.
I always think of like the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. Why world of sports? That is such the greatest quote ever. Because there's not like we went to the game at the Dome in Minnesota, Minneapolis, where it was such a dumb thing. If the Vikings won one of the last 2 games, they would have been in the playoffs, or if the other teams would have lost their games.
Yes.
But no, the Vikings lost theirs, the other teams won theirs. So we were at the Dome in Minneapolis when all they had to do was either win this game or the Eagles had to lose theirs.
Correct.
And
it's week 17 against the Bears. You were there in that building.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the worst. This is this season.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was the worst because Philly's winning 45-2 and Minnesota's losing 45-2. And you come in on the ultimate high and just at the end you're like, this sucks, man. Let's just go. Like, I wish I never even came. Like, that's how you feel, right?
Yeah.
But it's the experience. It was a blast. We had a good time, but still.
Well, this is why, Chris Jericho, you can go from not caring about football one year to bitching about Kirk Cousins the next. It's fantastic.
Instantly.
And you do the skull chant, the whole thing? You get into that thing?
I didn't get that much into it because I don't know what skull means. To me, skull is like chewing tobacco that used to come in a little.
It's a different one.
They used to call them skull bandits.
In a tin.
Yeah, but these would come in little bite-sized packages.
Oh.
You'd put it in there.
Skull bandits, yeah.
Skull bandits, right. But that's with an A, S-K-O-A-L.
Yeah, this is with an umlaut over the O, by the way.
If you have an umlaut, then it's heavy metal. So then I'm into it.
I've always been taught never go full umlaut.
Never go full umlaut.
Never go.
I learned that at Tropic Thunder, man.
You can't figure it out. Hey, we play a game called Celebrity True or False here, Chris Jericho. Let's do this with Chris Jericho here on The Rich Eisen Show. Please hit it.
Celebrity True
Keeping it real.
or False.
True or false, Chris Jericho? You graduated with honors from Red River College in Winnipeg, Manitoba. True or false?
Middle truth. I graduated 1 semester with honors. I got on the honor roll 1 semester, which for me was amazing because I was always like on the dishonor roll in high school. So I'm going to give it a slight truth.
Was there such a thing as a dishonor roll?
Oh, just for me, there was. I'm up in my high school hallway, dishonorable Jericho. I got a dishonorable discharge from high school.
That's an odd one. I've never heard that one before.
That's because I just made it up.
Before becoming a professional wrestler, you were a model and a bouncer in Canada. True or story?
Bouncer, yes. Model? I don't think I was ever a model.
You sure?
I think one time someone paid me $50 to do a lingerie fashion show where I was like the male guy walking the girls out. So does that count?
Sure.
So I guess technically, yes, I was a model.
What was that? You got paid $50?
$50.
Canadian or American?
Well, Canadian. I was in Calgary at the time.
Okay.
So,
what's your best bouncer story from your days in Canada?
Gosh, there's so many of them, man. One time there was a huge brawl where the roof of the bar caved in. Literally, the whole roof just fell. And it had nothing to do with the brawl. It was some kind of a water pipe. It was like something out of the movie where the Jets versus Sharks all lined up for the big fight. There's going to be a rumble tonight. Okay, here we go. Fight's over.
Because the ceiling came in.
Just it collapsed.
Is everyone
was
okay?
alive. No one died.
Okay, that's
but
good.
It ended the fight.
Did you didn't bounce the ceiling? Is what
No,
you're saying?
I was happy that I didn't have to get into the fight. I used to just hang out in the back and talk to girls.
Did you ever
Get in a fight?
Yeah.
Couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
You took the
In
name
Canada, you say I tuned him. I tuned him, eh?
You took the stage name of Jericho from the album Walls of Jericho from German power metal band Halloween.
True story. Yeah, I was going to call myself Jack Action. And
Hold on a second. You were that was your first? So
Yeah,
you'd have been Chris.
no, just Jack Action.
Okay.
First name Jack, last name Action. I thought it was going to make me $1 million. And then I told somebody that, and they were like, "You can't be Jack Action. That's stupid." I'm like, "Of course it's stupid. I would never do that. What's your name?" And I was like, and I saw the Halloween album. I said, "Chris Jericho." And
That's
here we
how
are.
it
There you
happened.
go. You could be talking to Jack Action if things had gone differently, but
just
instead,
calling it that.
it's just normal Chris Jericho.
I'm just going to throw it out like this, and I obviously things happen for a reason,
Right.
And to me, I think destiny is what you make of yourself.
Yes.
But all that said, I don't believe you would have had the success that you had if you were in fact Jack Action.
I probably have to agree with you on that.
Don't you think Vince McMahon would have stopped you right there?
Jack Action. Oh, so crass. That's a good Vince word. Crass.
He uses that word a lot?
Crass all the time.
So when he says that the XFL is not going to have anybody that's had any police record at all, he really means it? That's not some sort of act?
That's what he says. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's left at this point with
Right.
the NFL. Then there's AAE.
There's the AAF that's going on
AAF.
right now.
But I mean, if that's what he says, then yeah, he's pretty strict to his beliefs.
Okay. Last one for you. On your birthday, you fly to Mexico, then to Japan, then back to Mexico so you can celebrate 2 birthdays in different time zones.
That's true.
Come on, dude.
48-hour birthday. Sitting on a plane, middle seat, smoking in the economy minus section.
Do you really fly around so you can celebrate
Well,
birthdays twice?
not like every year.
So you've
I did
done
it
this.
once.
You did it once.
Oh, well, yeah, in like 95 or so, I wanted to see how long I could stay on the road for because I was living in a dumpy little apartment in Vancouver with 2 other dudes, a 1-bedroom.
Right.
So I had a job in Japan and a job in Mexico, and I just said, I'll see how long I can stay on the road for. So I just flew back and forth for like 6 months, and during one of those trips, just happened to be on my birthday, 48-hour birthday.
That's amazing. So congratulations on signing with All Elite Wrestling.
Thank you.
brother. What is this, brother?
I think glad you threw in the brother.
Brother. Oh, what does this mean for you?
Well, I mean,
Chris?
so what happened was basically the family that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, the
Cons.
Con family,
Yep.
you know Tony,
I do.
and his father Shad.
Yep.
All of these factors kind of took place at the same time to start this company. Whereas you had a group of guys who are worldwide famous, but not super well known in the States, other than amongst hardcore fans.
Yes.
Guys like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, those type of guys. And then you had Tony with his backing, and then you had all of this interest in television wrestling. And so basically, for the first time possibly ever, we have an alternative to the WWE. And it was a real cool concept for me from a creative side and from a buzz side. And our first show was at the MGM Grand that we sold it out in 4 minutes last week.
No way.
So there's a huge buzz of fans who want to see this alternative wrestling company.
Well, your popularity has never been bigger, and that's saying a lot right now. I mean, you're over 3 million followers at Chris Jericho Fozzy on Instagram. I am Jericho on Twitter. Your podcast on Westwood One, All Elite Wrestling, and then your rock band Fozzy. Now, I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind lending us the ability to promote your band for just
Sure.
for 10 days. We just need it for 10 days
Okay.
in July.
What do we got going on?
So the New York Knicks have an opportunity right now to get a whole bunch of free agents like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. It's a possibility for them to get them. We need to get their awful owner out of town when the free agent window opens up. We need James Dolan out of town. So we're going to invite him to headline a Fire Fest that Mike Del Tufo, our sound engineer, executive, audio executive, or
yes.
audio executive, we need to dress it up. Can we say that Fozzy is playing in this Fire Fest?
I think we've actually already been booked. I just heard about
See?
it yesterday, as a
Worked.
matter of fact.
So Fozzy is in.
We're working. Yep.
And like I said, in our contract, we want the cheese and bread platter.
Very
The
easy.
guys
Got
had
it.
at the
We've
original
got these.
Fire Fest.
We've got these luxury accommodations. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, great.
Let's just leave it at that.
Not the,
luxury luxury. No,
bands.
they are luxury accommodations.
Gotcha. Perfect.
And we get to tell James Dolan of JD and the Straight Shot. That's the name of his band.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a dumb name. And my band's called Fozzy, and I think JD and the Straight Shot's a dumb name.
Well, how did Fozzy come about?
Basically, we started as a cover band, and we just said we'll be Fozzy Osbourne, and that was years ago. And then because there was such a buzz about us, we just dropped the Osbourne and kept Fozzy. Which, if you look at Metallica and Kiss and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Black Eyed Peas, Def Leppard. Very strange names, and then they just become names. Yeah, and actually we're opening for Iron Maiden at the Bank of California Stadium here in Los Angeles in September.
In September?
Yes.
Okay, so what better way to get things moving than appearing in the Mike Del Tufo Fire Fest?
It's perfect.
That we're still putting together, right? The
We
details?
don't have a video yet. We're working on that.
Still working on location?
Yeah. No, location's set.
Okay.
And we're going to use his Instagram feed, not yours.
Okay, perfect. I don't have to put an orange dot on
Well,
mine.
I mean,
or
if
anything?
you wish, if you want, that's entirely up to
We'll
you.
send you the promo video. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Send me the promo dot. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a
Okay.
red one, maybe.
We
or-
all have to do this
At the same time.
right to make sure. And I don't know if we're letting the cat out of the bag by talking about it on live radio
That's
and
okay.
television.
That's okay.
But we
It's
just
promotion.
We got it. We got James Dolan's out of town, so Fozzy is part of this. DJ Mr. Big Chest is spinning.
He's
I'm
huge.
spinning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for lending us Fozzy for that purposes.
Well,
And all New York Knicks fans, thank
That's
you
what
too.
I mean. You have to get the free agents. That's what AEW did. We got the free agents.
You know,
so there's a connection.
you understand?
There. That's right.
Just imagine if we had to get the cons. Let's just imagine the cons were the worst owners in sports,
Right.
which they are not.
Which they're not.
The worst owners in
Right.
sports, and we have to get them out of town when free agency happens.
This
Imagine
is
if
it.
that was the
JD
case.
Dolan and the Straight Shooters.
JD, just JD,
Okay.
because it's James Dolan.
Gotcha.
And the Straight Shot.
That doesn't make
Singular.
any sense. What's a straight shot?
No idea.
Oh, okay. It's a straight shot from L.A. to San Diego on the I-5. Is that what he's talking about?
I have no idea what the Straight Shot is.
Okay.
All we got to do is we got to get him a straight shot out of town.
Gotcha. Straight shot from New Jersey to Schenectady.
The Mike Del Tufo Fire Fest is blowing up right now.
mean,
It's on. Yes.
And wait till you post Del
Blazing.
Tufo on your Instagram feed.
I mean,
It's
we're
gonna
in.
be.
It's going over the
Well,
top.
the kids call it lit.
It's lit.
Good to see you, Chris
Hey,
Jericho.
Rich, thanks, man.
You are welcome here.
Always a
anytime,
pleasure.
man. Always a pleasure hanging out with you.
What if you? I'm welcome anytime. What if you show up tomorrow and I'm sitting in the same chair?
That'll
Because I got
be
nowhere to
great.
go.
Sold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
You guys got popcorn in the dressing room there?
Hey, look,
I can sustain myself on
it's-
that.
We should treat it like it's your birthday. 48 straight hours.
That's right.
Celebrate 2 shows. Chris Jericho
back.
here on the Rich Eisen Show at I Am Jericho on Twitter and be part of the 3.1 million followers at Chris Jericho Fozzy on Instagram. We'll set up the rest of the week when we come back.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.